a gorgeous day in northern Ohio. It's absolutely beautiful out. What a great summer we have had. I'm telling you what, seems like just the right mix of everything. I know this because I've been off and I've watched it day in and day out, night after night, watching this weather. So it's beautiful. I mean, we've had some rain, but very blessed to have had so many sun-filled vitamin D days. Very, very cool. I know Tanner loves it. Our walks. That is my dog, and he sleeps a lot, but he really enjoys. He's a little. Well, we know the mom was a Jack Russell. We don't know who the dad was. For some reason, every time I say that to people, they think that's funny, but it's a true story. But he just turned 3, and he's amazing. He brings a lot of smiles to our house and my life, and has just made my heart full. I had a dog, Buster. He was a little Yorkie fox terrier, teeny tiny little scruffy guy, and it was August 31st, 2017. So we're coming up on 3 years that he passed away, and he was going on 14. So he had been through everything with me. He was one of those kind of dogs, and when they're around that long a period of time, any dog is a family member, but when they're around that long, they really, really are, because they've watched your kids grow up, go off to school. They have watched, I went through a divorce. He followed me through that. He was just a great, great companion. And I thought that there was no way that my heart could ever be full again from the love of a pet. It's how we all feel, I guess. And but sure enough, Tanner came into my life a few months later, and he's just really, really done a very, very good job of making his brother, Buster, proud. So I'm all over the place today, and again, yesterday's show, I talked a lot about, it was a very emotional time, I should say. Because I was really coming to fruition of, the whole breaking and picking up the pieces and putting ourselves back together and such. And I really feel that right now, this is a broken time, and we're saying things that we might not have said a year or so ago. We are acting in certain ways that sometimes is not always our best self. And, I talked a lot, I've been talking a lot about, armoring ourselves and preparing ourselves and in the event to make ourselves healthy, but at the same time to guard ourselves against hurt and anger and fury and tears. But sometimes you just can't help that. Those are the things that God gave us, and we certainly, you can go through a myriad of emotions in a day, just so many, and they come flooding through. And because of different mediums like social media, which I always say is either going to be the best of us or the death of us, we are now informed. We used to read, a newspaper came to the house when I was growing up, one newspaper, and it was actually the Akron Beacon Journal, and that was our news source. And then there were 3 news stations, and you had to wait until the news came on. I believe it was something like 6 and 11 o'clock. And if something special happened, or if, something major happened, then they would break into your favorite program and give you the news that way. So it was a very limited amount of news that we would get, and thorough, and it was very newsworthy. When I took a class in high school back in the late 70s, I was in high school, and I was taught that when you are in broadcasting, and you are responsible for reporting the news. That you, hang on a second, I'm going to stand up. When you were reporting the news, whether it was in writing or whether it was, you were broadcasting it, you had to be telling the truth. And in those days, you as a broadcaster, as a newsworthy broadcaster, you had to be factual. And your opinion was not allowed. It just wasn't. They had something called an editorial piece. Or, they had, like an Andy Rooney who was on 60 Minutes and he got to give his opinion. And he was able to weave his opinion in between the news. And but now it's all different. Now, it's anarchy. I mean, it's total chaos. It's, the talking heads have taken over. And obviously, if you're listening, present company included. However, I am in a situation where this is just journaling. This is just a podcast. I am not here to sway your opinion or try and pretend like I'm reporting any facts or anything. This is just something that, this show, I've always wanted to do it. Ever since I was a little girl, I've wanted to be on the radio, and this is just something that, as a writer and, a published author, and I should say not only, published, but I self-publish books. But I'm that touchy-feely, gosh, I want to help that one person in the world. And whatever that may sound like, it's true. And so that is the fact. It's just something I want to do. I'm very, very passionate about it. And so, when couldn't were invented, I just couldn't believe. And it was October 2018. And oh my gosh, a couple hundred shows later. And, we've got these followers and I've got worldwide listeners. And it's just mind blowing. So I've had messages and emails. So, if you can make a difference doing something you love, do that thing. But I've really been, my heart was broken recently because I'd lost my job and just because I loved my work and that sort of thing. But I mean, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm a faith believer. But I can't just sweep that under the rug. It really happened. It really broke my heart. And, so when I was thinking about what to talk about today, it came to my mind, when we read certain things or someone says something to us, our heart changes its rhythm and it beats really hard. And I don't know about you guys, but I have actually had to withdraw myself off and on of Facebook because it's so politically charged right now, present company included. It is so emotional. There's so much going on. And it's like, if I look at that, I know I'm going to get my heart racing. I'm going to get, but it's also fun. I mean, we've got our family pictures, dogs, all that sort of thing too. But it's right now and it did the same thing in 2016. I mean, I had to take the app off my phone. I was just addicted. And so, but I have family out there and friends and I've, I have to be careful of what I say. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to frustrate anybody, but it is a hurting and frustrating time. And sometimes when you're fighting for something that matters, it does hurt or it does ruffle feathers. But still, it's my heart and my brain. And what am I feeding my brain? And yesterday it was a lot about your thoughts. So if I'm going to live up to what I said, control your thoughts, make them, counteract a negative thought with something positive because you can't think two thoughts at the same time. So why not think positive? But yet I can't help being human and getting sucked into the vortex of what is going on in our world. For me to pretend like everything is perfect over here and live in this bubble, yeah, that's good, but it's not good for fellow man. And so that's why I, started thinking about the abuse that we give to our bodies and how we feed information and what that can do to us. And I believe that we go into these situations knowing it's going to hurt our heart. And I can't figure out why we do that. We take risks on love and we know that there's the chance of getting hurt. A relationship requires work. You're going to get hurt in the process. And so then from my heart racing, and it did this morning because someone said something about that was personal. It wasn't about politics. It was about, me, attacking me on Facebook. And so it hurt my heart, and I reacted instead of acted. And yet I know going in, if I'm going to go on Facebook, there's a chance I'm going to get pissed off or hurt or whatever. So I was sitting there and I was thinking about it. I'm like, why do we do this? And I know the other day I was talking to Tim, he's my boyfriend, and I was talking to him about our feet and how we abuse them and how we take them for granted. You get up every morning, it's the first physical thing that happens. You get out of bed and you put your feet on the floor. They take you everywhere throughout the day. If you're lucky to be able to walk, if you're lucky to be able to have legs and feet, I believe it's one of the number one things we abuse and take for granted. We're putting all this weight on them all live long day and night. Depending on our jobs, sometimes we have to stand. Your heart, your feet, your body, your skin. We go out in the sun. We abuse our skin by, now we know to put sunscreen on, but I can assure you, my girlfriend and I were my dear friend, we were talking about when we were young, and we put on oil so that intentionally our skin would fry quicker. And so we have, it's kind of like one of those things I would like if we could all kind of take a moment and stop and think about it. Why, the way that, we abuse ourselves and others. And that if we're not taking care of that and we're not taking care of one another, what's really left? We really have lost it. Like people, like when I post something, most of the time I'm making fun of, we're looking at somebody who we want to be a world leader, our president of the United States, and we have somebody running that doesn't know where he is, like physically, like what city, or he just doesn't know. And so I tease a lot about that. And the reason why I tease about that is because we are expecting that person to go overseas and sit down at world leader summits and have conversations that make sense and protect the United States of America. So my posts are not really to change anyone's mind. They're not really to persuade. My page is getting others to laugh along with me because it is absurd. And then there's people that don't like our current president. I get it. I scroll past. When they say abusive things about him, I just scroll past that. I don't have to give them my 2 cents to make my day. But I'm noticing a trend that the acknowledgement of this and what we might be doing, instead of acknowledging that maybe he really doesn't know where he is or what he's about to say, or they